I never would have thought that would be the last time that I would see him.
Welcome back to a special edition of Morning Express. I'm Michael Almas coming to you from Phoenix. We're talking about Jodi Arias' final plea for life. There you heard the words of Travis Alexander's brother, Stephen Alexander. Also, heart-wrenching words from his sister, Samantha. And you got to know that that stuck with this jury through the weekend. Back with us, great attorney Chris Chestnut. Chris, that was so powerful to listen. Again, 5 years of pain pouring out emotionally in that courtroom through strength and tears. How long does that stick with the jury as they try and decide Jodi Arias' life or death?
I think that will stick with the jurors for the rest of their life. You know, one other highlight, I'm sure in voir dire, in choosing this jury, the prosecution asked if everyone on that jury was comfortable, if the evidence demonstrated such or warranted such, voting for a death penalty, if they could do that, if their conscience, if their heart, their soul was comfortable in doing that. So everyone has demonstrated an ability to vote for the death penalty. I think a lot of this testimony and the gruesome pictures that they've seen will stick with this jury forever. And certainly they will be reflecting upon it when they retire to deliberate for sentencing.
Chris, forgive me, we're having a little technical trouble there. I lost the last half of that answer. So we'll take that as a segue, and let's listen to, because we listened to Travis Alexander's brother, Stephen Alexander, who could speak on behalf of Jodi Arias. What we expect for sure, her ex-boyfriend, Daryl Brewer. They were together for 4 years. Potentially, not sure if it's going to happen, her childhood friend, Patty Womack. Many wondering if her mom, Sandra, will testify as well. But let's listen to Daryl Brewer, again, the ex, saying on the stand earlier she's a great person. But let's really zone in on, and it really could help, how well she treated his young son at the time they were together. So again, here's Daryl Brewer, who's expected to speak today.
Jodi met my son slowly and gradually. By the time we moved in together, Jodi lived with us, and I lived with Jodi, and my son lived with us part-time.
Okay. And how was Jodi's relationship with your son?
It was outstanding.
Were they close?
They were close.
Did they spend time together on their own?
They did. There were a few occasions where they were together on their own.
Okay. And did you also go out, the three of you, doing events together, going to places together?
We did.
Okay. I know you weren't married to Jodi, but was she serving as kind of a stepmother role to your son at that point in time?
I would not describe it as a stepmother role at all.
Okay.
A friendly role, a friend to Jack is how I would describe it.
Again, potentially character witness there, Daryl Brewer for Jodi Arias. Chris, how important could that be? She was nice to the young son when they were together.
Yeah, I just don't know how compelling that's going to be in this case, considering that the jury's already said we find that this murder was premeditated. You rented a car, you turned off your cell phone, the issues with the gas. I think it's very difficult to soften Jodi here. This was a calculated, premeditated, heinous crime, and the jury has already said again in voir dire that they were willing to find the death penalty, find for the death penalty if the evidence supported such. I don't find that testimony terribly compelling.
Okay, let's bring in my friend and colleague Gene Casares, an attorney, legal correspondent for us at HLN. Gene, Daryl Brewer, we expect he's ready to go. I mean, what could he say? What's the most powerful thing that he could say at this point for Jodi Arias?
I think it's his emotions. In addition to what he would say, it would be his emotions. And I think the most important thing he could say would be to beg the jury for the life of the person that he knew, the life of the person that he said was a good person to him and to his son and to others. You know, we may hear more of his testimony, but I think it's the emotional aspect in all of this. But the question is, Mike, is that mitigating circumstance sufficiently substantial to outweigh the aggravating factors, the brutality of this crime, the cruelty that was done to Travis Alexander? That's going to be the question before the jury.
Gene, you and I have talked about, and you've made a connection with Jodi Arias' mom, Sandra, how powerful she could be. Could she still speak in court, or is that a done deal and it's not going to happen?
You know, I think anything's possible at any time. You know, we've had the weekend. Obviously, they appreciate the serious nature. And, you know, I don't know Jodi Arias' mother, but, you know, Mike, I saw her in the hallway. Nobody was coming up to her, and I went up to her just to be nice, you know. She did not commit this murder. And I think she wants to testify. I saw it in her eyes when I asked her, are you going to testify in the penalty phase? And she told me she didn't know. But she wants to. If she doesn't, someone's stopping her.
Well, let's listen to what she might say. This again, we'll let you listen to this. This is a broken-hearted mom. This is right after her daughter Jodi gets arrested for murder. And she's beside herself and bringing this raw emotion as she's being questioned by Detective Flores. And she's talking about her daughter being sick. Here is Sandra Arias some years ago.
Jodi has mental problems. Jodi would freak out all the time. I had quite a few of her friends call me and tell me that I needed to get her some help. I had one call me in the middle of the night and tell me that she needed help. Jodi would call me. We don't have a good relationship, me and Jodi.
Yeah, your husband kind of told me about the relationship.
And she would call me in the morning all happy and call me an hour or two later in tears, crying and sobbing about something she didn't want to talk about. And that happened constantly. And her friends saw it too. And I had one friend call me in the middle of the night, and he even called a hotline for bipolar people. Said Jodi's bipolar and she needs help. And that's why we talked her into coming back up here so she could be around family.
Gene, that could be the most powerful thing, right? If that was said in court, something to that effect. Don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. You know, in one other death penalty case I've covered, I heard a mother beg the mercy and cry for help, and the daughter's life was spared. So I tell you, Mike, if she doesn't take the stand, there's some reason, and someone is stopping her. My common sense tells me on the team, because they feel that something could outweigh the good of a mother begging for a daughter's life. I can't imagine what that could be.
Wow. Chris, real quick on that. The power of Sandra Arias speaking in court.
I think Sandra has to testify. That was extremely compelling, a very emotional, heartfelt testimony. I think it will soften the jury. If there's anyone I think that can sway this jury, it's her mother.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to one of Travis Alexander's friends, David Hughes. What are his thoughts and emotions? You're a friend of Travis Alexander, yet this is a day we could hear from Jodi Arias one more time in court. We'll talk about it coming up.